Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Amin Nazir and welcome to Knowledge Realm. So students, we are studying pre-partition history of Pakistan and the topic that we're going to study today is the Cripps mission of 1942. So stay focused. We're going to discuss this in detail and let's get started. Starting with the brief introduction of the Cripps mission of 1942. Well, students, these were the proposals given by Sir Stafford Cripps to resolve the constitutional and communal issues of India. These proposals proposed an Indian dominion. Now, what is a dominion? If I define it briefly, dominion is a kind of a state just that is internally and externally independent, but it has some association with the British Crown and it comes under the aegis of the British Crown. So the Cripps proposed this kind of status for the state of India, that India should be a dominion. Then these proposals gave the freedom of secession to provinces, and Congress and All India Muslim League both rejected the proposals. Congress believed that the permission to provinces for non-accession contained the seeds of Pakistan, and this thing would divide the India into more than one pieces. Then All India Muslim League also rejected the proposals because it gave the idea of an Indian dominion, which was against the demands of All India Muslim League. So this was the brief introduction of the Cripps mission, and now we would discuss this in detail. Starting with the background of the society. Well, students, we all know that Second World War started in Europe in September 1939, and India was forced to get involved in this war because India was at the time under British government, and British, they were also involved in the war, so they dragged India also in this war. The aims and objectives of Second World War was the strengthening of democratic forces in Europe, and this was the thing that the Indian political leaders did not like. Indian political leaders realized and they started questioning the double standards of British. They started saying that, okay, you're fighting for the strengthening of democratic forces in Europe, then why don't you let India get independent? And you have colonized India for more than a century, so if you're fighting for democracy, then this thing should start from India. And India should be democratic first of all. Then Congress began insisting on the complete independence of India. Congress wanted to establish a Ram Raj in India. We all know this. We have studied the pre-partition history of Pakistan, and now we know very clearly the aims and objectives of the Congress. Congress actually wanted to establish a Ram Raj in India. All India Muslim League demanded an assurance from the government that no constitution would be introduced without consulting All India Muslim League. So this was the background of the society. These are the things that were happening in the society at that time. British was fighting the Second World War, and it was trying to strengthen the democratic forces in Europe, and then Indian political leaders got perturbed and they did not like these double standards of British, so they started demanding complete independence of India. So before the Cripps proposal, an offer was given to the people of India and the political leaders of India, and this was called the August Offer. On August 8, 1940, British government issued a white paper that announced that after the war, a constituent assembly would be formed in India, and this constituent assembly would be responsible for the formation of a constitution for India. Moreover, minorities were assured that they will have a say in the formation of a government and constitution in India, and this was the thing that made Quaid-e-Azam satisfied. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and All India Muslim League expressed satisfaction over the British government's decision. They were satisfied that, okay, now no constitution would be passed until the All India Muslim League approves the constitution. And another very interesting thing about this August offer was that this was the first time when Indians were given the authority to make the constitution of their country. It declared the formation of a constituent assembly made up of Indian representatives. Now, students, remember that before this August offer, before 1940, the final authority was in the hands of British government, and British government took the final decision always. But this time, British government decided that this time Indians have the authority to make the constitution of their country. So this was something new about the August offer and this decision of British government. All India Muslim League, it expressed satisfaction over the British government's announcement because this offer was good for the minorities of India. But the Congress reacted sharply, and Congress did not accept this offer. Congress believed that the British government is using the minority issue to create obstacles in the way of independence, because I've explained it earlier in the previous slide that all Congress wanted was independence. Congress was not worried about the minorities. Congress was not worried about the rights of Muslims. Congress just wanted the independence from British government because Congress wanted to establish a British Raj in India. And all this, whatever I'm delivering here, this is from the book Trek to Pakistan by Ahmed Said. So just don't doubt on the knowledge that I'm passing on here. This is from the book Trek to Pakistan. August offer of 1940 was rejected by the Congress, and in 1942 the situation was worse. In 1942, the Second World War had reached till the border of India. Japanese troops had reached till Burma. Japanese troops invaded in Burma, and the pressure on British government was increased. Then Congress decided to take advantage of this volatile situation, and British government then sent a delegation headed by Sir Stafford Cripps to break the political deadlock in India. Cripps arrived in Delhi on March 22, 1942, and he held meetings with the political leaders of India and briefed them about his proposals. Now here I would like to explain one thing, that Sir Stafford Cripps, he was pro-Congress. He was a friend of Nehru, and the people who were pro-Congress in India, they celebrated at the allocation of Sir Stafford Cripps to this mission, and they enjoyed it, they celebrated, they were happy that okay, now the person who has been appointed for this task is a pro-Congress and he would decide in the favor of the Congress. So they were happy, and all the Hindus and all the pro-Congress people of India were happy. Cripps came to India, and he, after holding numerous meetings with the political leaders of India, he gave some proposals, and these are the proposals. I've enlisted these proposals here. First of all, he said that we would give complete independence to India at the end of the war. British government wants to create an Indian dominion, and I have explained it in the previous slide what is a dominion. Then he proposed that at the end of the war a new constituent assembly would be formed to frame the future constitution. The Indian states would also be represented in the constituent assembly. Now what are the Indian states? Well, I don't know if you people know or not, but India was actually divided. The state of India that we see today, it was divided. There was British India and there were some other states also, and these states were called Indian states, and these states were independent, and these states were not under the British government and not under the influence of British government. So the Indian states were separate, they were independent. So in these proposals it was decided that the Indian states would also be represented in the Constituent Assembly. The British government would make a new constituent assembly, and the Indian state would also be represented in the constituent assembly. So this thing was decided. The constitution made by the assembly would be acceptable to the British government. uh, Cripps proposed that whatever constitution the constituent assembly makes, it would be accepted to the British government. Then it was decided that a treaty would be concluded between the assembly, the constituent assembly that would be formed for the formation of constitution, and the British government, that would resolve all the problems that would arise at the time of transfer of power from British government to the people of India. So to resolve all the matters, it was decided that a treaty would be concluded between the assembly and the British government. Then it was decided that all the promises made to religious authorities would be honored. Any province would be free to keep it out of the proposed union, and this was the main problem. This was the thing that Congress did not like, and this was called the non-accession clause, because in this clause the British government gave permission to provinces that, okay, if you do not want to join the United India, you can secede from the United India. And this was the thing that contained the seeds of partition of India, and that contained the seeds of Pakistan, and this thing agitated the Hindu leaders of India. This was the main problem, and this thing started many problems in India. Then, during the critical period, the British government will bear the responsibility for the control of the defense of India. So these were all the proposals given by Cripps, and this is known as Cripps missions or Cripps proposals of 1942. Now let's see how All India Muslim League reacted on the Cripps proposal of 1942. Well, All India Muslim League rejected the proposals, but the League gave very concrete reasons for this rejection. First of all, the Cripps proposals proposed that India would be a dominion. But League did not want India to be a dominion. League wanted complete independence of India and no allegiance to the British crown. League wanted that India should be free completely. In fact, League wanted a complete, separate, independent state for Muslims of India, that is Pakistan. League wanted partition of India, and League wanted a complete, separate, and completely independent state for the Muslims of India. This is what League wanted, and this was the main demand of All India Muslim League. So this was the first thing that became the reason of rejection of these proposals. Then League did not believe in the unity of India. League was the advocate of two nations theory, and League believed that there are two major nations in India that can never live together under Hindu Raj. So League did not believe in the unity of India, and League wanted the partition of India into two states. Then another thing was proposed in the Cripps proposals, that Muslims would be given 1/4 seats in the assembly. So this thing was also rejected by All India Muslim League. All India Muslim League wanted 1/3 seats for the Muslims of India, but the proposals did not accept this demand, and the proposal said that there would be 1/4 seats of Muslims of India. Now here students try to understand one thing, that why Muslim League was not happy with 1/4 seats in the assembly. There is a technical reason behind this. To accept or reject any proposal, you need to have at least 1/3 seats, and giving 1/4 representation to the Muslims is analogous to taking away all the power to accept or reject any proposals by Muslims. Okay, if Muslims had 1/4 seats in the assembly, they would not have any authority or any power to accept or reject the proposal. This is the thing, that they were not happy with these one-fourth seats, because one-fourth seats means that they do not have any power and they cannot accept or reject any proposal, and they will have to bow down to the will of majority. So this was the thing, that Muslims were not happy with the one-fourth seats, so they rejected these proposals. Another reason behind the rejection of Cripps' proposal was that League was committed to Lahore Resolution, and League wanted the partition of India into two states, and League wanted independence of Pakistan. League was committed to Pakistan Resolution, League was committed to Lahore Resolution, so this is the reason that All India Muslim League rejected Cripps' proposal. Then another thing was that we have started this in the Cripps proposal, that provinces were given the right to secede from the Union. But the proposals did not give the procedure to implement the provision. There was no procedure or method for this secession. So League said that there should be some procedure, some method of this secession, and since the proposals, the Cripps proposals, do not have any such procedure, so we cannot accept these Cripps proposals. And All India Muslim League, finally, All India Muslim League rejected the Cripps proposals of 1942. Now let's study how Indian National Congress reacted on the Cripps proposals of 1940. Well, just like All India Muslim League, Congress also rejected Cripps proposals. It condemned the proposal of permission to the provinces for non-accession, and this was the main problem. This was a thing that was causing an agitation in Indian National Congress, and that Indian National Congress did not like. We have started in the Cripps proposals that Cripps proposal assured the provinces that if you do not want to be a part of the union, you can secede. And the clause of secession, this was the main contentious clause of the Cripps proposal. And Indian National Congress rejected the Cripps proposals on the ground that you are sowing the seeds of Pakistan. Congress believed that these proposals, the Cripps proposals, contained the seeds of Pakistan. And Congress believed that it is a blow to the unity of India. I mean, you are allowing the secession of provinces. It means that you are dividing India not in two states but in numerous states. You're trying to divide India, and this is a blow to the unity of India. So this was the main argument of the political leaders of India, and especially Gandhi. Then Gandhi said these proposals would only add up to our difficulties, and resolving the communal issues would become impossible. This was the statement of Gandhi after the announcement of these proposals. This is how Gandhi reacted. Then Gandhi compared these proposals to a post-dated check on a liquidated bank. So the main thing that Congress did not like was the non-accession clause. So we have studied the background of Cripps proposal in detail, the reaction of both the two most dominant political parties of India. Now we would study the importance of the Cripps proposals, why these proposals are important, and let's just analyze these proposals in detail. Well, the most important aspect of this proposal was that in these proposals, for the first time, the British government had agreed to the idea of partitioning of India. Not directly, but indirectly. How? Well, we have studied Cripps proposals in detail, and we know that in Cripps proposals, there was a clause of non-accession, and provinces were given the permission of not being a part of the union. Provinces were allowed to secede from the union if they want to. Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah admitted that this is the only positive aspect of the proposals. It gave a non-excision clause in the proposals. So what does it imply? It simply implies that British government has accepted that yes, there is a need of partitioning of India, and British government was insinuating towards the partitioning. Now this thing was an achievement of the Muslims, that the idea of partitioning was mentioned in the official documents of the British government. This thing increased the value of Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Pakistan resolution. And this thing contributed to Pakistan resolution, and it led to the creation of Pakistan. The governor of the NWFP, George Cunningham, said, "The Muslims are obviously pleased at the thought that Pakistan is now recognized as practical politics by His Majesty's government." And this thing was positive for All India Muslim League and Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. I mean, not for Congress. Congress was not happy about this, and the clause of non-accession, this was very contentious for the Congress leaders, but for All India Muslim League and for the Muslims of India, this was very good, and they liked it. They were happy about it. So this is the end of this lecture today. Today we have studied Cripps proposals, and we have studied this in detail, the background of the society, what were the Cripps proposals, who proposed it, then the reaction of All India Muslim League and Indian National Congress on these proposals, and what is the importance of the Cripps proposals. So this is the end of this lecture. In the next lecture, inshallah, we would study Gandhi Jinnah talks. Till then, thank you, Allah Hafiz. And if any of you has more knowledge on Cripps proposals or anything that I have not mentioned here, you can definitely add knowledge, and you can definitely comment on this lecture. So thank you so much for today. Allah Hafiz. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe the channel Knowledge Realm.